Hi guys, welcome back to TomGirl. Tonight we have VO superstar, actor, producer, and musician Alicyn Packard. It's gonna be a great one. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Is that you doing the promo?
Hey guys, we're back again. I'm JJ Jurgens, your host, and I have a dear friend, Alicyn, here tonight. Thanks, Alicyn!
Thanks for having me, JJ.
I've been wanting to have you in for so long, so I'm so glad that you could make it. I really appreciate it.
We worked it out, girl.
We did. We made it happen. So much to talk about, so I'm just going to dive right in.
Yeah.
First, what you might be most well known for is that you're just a VO Wonder Woman with all kinds of animation characters that you do, promos, commercials. I mean, how much do you just love VO?
Voiceover. It's great. It's been, I don't know, 12 or 15 years I've been doing this. And I think it's one of the best careers out there. Mm-hmm. There's just so many different facets, and each one is so different. They each require a little tweak and different specialties. And so it's fun to explore and see kind of, what's out there and how things are changing over time, too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you have a genre that is your favorite?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, I love animation. I think it's so fun to create original characters, especially if you're in a live group scenario where you're acting with other actors. I also really like promo, just kind of finding the essence of what you're trying, the brand that you're bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. The same thing with commercial. I love commercial. I love long form narration. I just kind of love it all.
Yeah, and nice to mix it up too, I'm sure, for variety.
Yeah, it's definitely keeps it more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of your animation characters.
Okay.
Well, we're going to play real quick for people out there listening your demo reel just so they can hear some of the characters that you do. Okay. So we'll go ahead and play the animation.
A fantastic show for you today.
Oh, sweetheart, don't worry. Mommy's here.
It's okay, baby. Did you have a bad dream? Oh, poor little guy.
They call us Four Eyes, even though we save the day. Every time someone villain comes, he gets in the way.
Please, you gotta meet me tonight at my place by the lake. I've come into a fortune in canned sardines.
Okay, fun time's over. Let's talk gift snooping strategy. So, where do you think Mom and Dad hid the presents this year? My owner, Amy, took care of me until one day... Suddenly, I was a yokai. Jibanyan! When we were alive, teenagers were a scourge on our store. Always sassafrassing customers with their boomy boxes and disrespectful short pants.
Today, we're going to be working on managing our anger through movement. Just remember to breathe up through your feathers and down through your talons.
Schmoopy said this was dumbness, but you did not listen. Now you drive me crazy. Schmoopy no light.
Oh, come on, guys. Pick up your trash. Oh,
Hey, no running in the hall. I said no running.
Player 2 defeated. Game over. Do you wish to play again?
Yes, play again.
No, do not play again. My initial thoughts were, wow, this is a long.
But such variety in there and so many fun different characters. What are some of your favorite characters that you've gotten to play?
Geez. Well, the first at the top, Good Morning, Miss Sunshine. That was I think the first animated series I ever booked was the Mr. Men Show, which was on Cartoon Network. And I played Little Miss Sunshine, Little Miss Naughty, and Little Miss Whoops. And like 3 totally different characters, but all 3, typecast again, because, some days you just feel like, oh, hi, everybody, like I'm on top of the world. And then other days you're just like, whoops. That was the rap that you heard with they call me Four Eyes, even though I saved the day, that character. And then Miss Naughty was like, sometimes I just can't help myself. So it's like being able to do 3 characters of that diversity in one show, but have them be regular reoccurring characters that you get to come back, and the show was written like Laugh-In, so like a sketch comedy show where they had really short little scenes, and each of the characters would kind of play off each other in different scenes. So that was one that will always stand out in my mind. And then Jibanyan, I worked on the show Yokai Watch, which airs on Disney XD for season 1 and 2, and they would throw us so many characters. I think it did like over 100 characters on the show. So you could play stuff, and I would be like, "Oh, is that me? I don't remember."
Wow.
And
when they throw them at you, how much time did you have to try to did they have direction for the character, or you developed each one? You came up with it, or how did that process work?
Well, so it also was. It's a Japanese property, so this was an anime dub, and there was a watch that came with it. So the watch is a key element of the show, and it had these little medallions that go in, and when you put them in, they would call out the character's name. So like Jibanyan, or just any different character. And so they had us do those at the top. So then we would kind of reference that, but everything was really on the fly. And there might be some viewers that are very familiar with anime and some that are new to it. But for those that are new to it, it moves very fast. You are acting to picture. So you're watching it live and then doing the voiceover to the lip flaps. So it's a different experience than just creating original content and having the luxury of being able to pause when you want or, deliver the line how you want. You're kind of in a constant negotiation with trying to make it sound like this person already did. So
We have a couple photos of some of your characters. Well, there's a bunch of your characters right there that you were talking about. From the Mr. Man show in there, and you're also Alma and Poppy Cat.
So Alma's peeking out behind my left ear, the little bunny.
I think we have our photo 3 too coming up. And the next too.
She's right in the middle. I loved doing Alma, and my son, I have a 3-year-old son, and he watches Poppy Cat. I have an iPad, and when we drive places, it only has 2 shows on it. So I'm like, Poppy Cat it is.
How has your animation changed since having a child? Has it at all?
I definitely think it has. For one, you get to see how they react to what you do and what plays off it. And my son, fortunately, knock on wood, I'm sure, at some point this will change, but he thinks it's very cool. So he's always like, do that voice, mama. And I'll do, something. And, when we're trying to find a great character, we try to make them slightly nuanced and, toe the line between keeping them realistic and keeping them fun and exciting. And I could just do my worst work, and he doesn't go. I'd be like, "Hey, it's Mama," and he'd be like, "Do that, it's Mama character, it's Mama." And I was just like, so it's fun. It's like I guess what you hope to capture when you're recording is that sense of improv and play and fun. And that's what 3-year-olds are all about.
Probably the best bedtime stories at night with your voice doing characters.
God, are you kidding me? By the end of the day, I'm so tired.
You're not getting them.
Okay, the end. Hop on pop and Dr. Seuss.
What are your techniques? What are your go-tos to try to find characters?
I think when I was first starting out, I took class with a woman named Dolores Steele, who, rest in peace, she's since passed away, but she was amazing. And so, she starts off with just having you explore different registers of your voice. Also, Pat Fraley is great for this. So, explain just the same voice, but very high and higher and you can get lower and lower and lower and lower. And so, bringing the sense of pitch, the sense of placement. Where is the sound of your voice? Is it really forward? Is it nasally? Is it further back in your throat? So kind of like you're going to the gym, exercising those vocal muscles so that they're nice and strong, so that when you get the character, you can just kind of figure out, okay, what might this person feel or sound like? Not necessarily trying to break it down mentally, but just kind of instinctually, okay, she's clearly really emphatic teen girl, or but it's you just kind of hopefully play around with it and improvise. The problem is, though, that you're often auditioning by yourself alone in a room, which is not the best set up for improv comedy.
And then what are your tricks for going back? Like, you have so many characters. So do you have like mental pictures? I mean, the ones that don't have, one has pictures obviously, but if they don't, like, do you have like kind of a Rolodex of, oh yeah, she's this person, and she's like, to get yourself back into those moments?
A catchphrase is super helpful. Okay. So like, with Jabanyan, sometimes it's a long time between seasons. And so when we come back, I'll just be like, Paws of Fury! I'm kind of tired right now. Whatever that he says a lot. And I find if I say whatever that catchphrase is, it helps me, jump into the character a little bit more.
One in a new genre that's really picked up over the last few years, video games. Yeah. So I know you do a lot of video games as well. How has been they sometimes have more powerful female roles or stronger, or like the fighters or those kind of things. Are you getting to play? How's it going doing those kind of roles versus animation?
I kind of think of it as the difference between comedic acting and dramatic acting in many ways. The video games, they're often, and not always, but they're often looking for a more cinematic performance. So it's less presentational and more about finding the moments. So getting back to, just acting training and, okay, what are my wants in this scene, what's my relationship with this person, developing out kind of what your relationship was with the other person you might be talking to. And the luxury of time can lend itself to great work, but sometimes in video games you don't get the sides in advance. So you kind of do the best you can. In some ways, it's actually, that keeps it spontaneous and maybe fresh. And then there's some days you're like, okay, what's going on? Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading these words, but I'm not really sure. So hopefully the director can help guide you. And I've been able to work with some great directors like Chris Zimmerman, and, she's great about, if you haven't quite nailed it, giving you that little piece of direction that's going to send you down the right path.
What are some of the ways you've seen yourself develop over your career? Like, maybe some things you learned that you were like, oh, I wish I had known that when I first started, or, just...
This business is definitely interesting. I think we all come out here with the most ambitious ideas. And I know I'm like, okay, I'm going to be doing stand-up comedy when I've been out here 1 year, and I'm going to be on a TV show. And, so it's like having a certain sense of humility and ability to appreciate where you are instead of always putting yourself where you want to be. That helps if it helps to motivate you, that's great. But you have to find the joy in what you're working on now. And just, continuing to generate your own work is very empowering. And so, one of the most exciting things I ever did was I put out an album 1.5 years ago, and I directed 5 music videos to go along with it. And each one was like a different collaborative process. 3 of the videos were animated, and 1 I was in. And I mean, it was just a mixed bag, but it was like fully engaged in the creative process every step of the way. And that type of thing will lift up your spirits any day. But, I mean, some days the call is not good, or some days you don't get the call. And, being able to take the ego out and see the little successes as successes too is, I think, crucial to maintaining sanity. I loved because I've known you through voiceover, but then researching you for this. Yeah, we have the same manager. Cope, Julie. Everybody shut up. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea about the comedy. I didn't know you had your own, series on YouTube, things that you've produced and put on YouTube, and then I found the album as well, and I was like, I love that you're, that you are doing all those things. I mean, hopefully they'll all come together into one, magnum opus someday. But for now, it keeps me growing. On the album, because it was beautiful, and I'm like, she did music videos for all of them too, like you were saying. It was great. When did you decide that's what you want to do next? I think I heard something started out as just one song, or then you went into more. Yeah, so it was actually after I had my son. that first year, I was really fortunate in that I was working on 2 animated series. I was working on Space Racers and Yokai Watch. And then when he was about 6 months old, I got hired to write on an animated series called Barbie Dreamtopia for Mattel. And so I was just like so busy. And I think you have this idea that you're going to be like home with your baby, like enjoying like all this like one-on-one time. And it was really a struggle trying to find the balance between work and being a mother and the shift that it causes in just your own perception of yourself. So after that first year was kind of done and I started evaluating who am I and what do I need, I really felt like I needed to do something completely creative. So being in a creative field, you know, you do get a hit of creativity from other people working on other people's projects. But this was like, I was like, I need, and it was very inspired and it felt like, you know, a gift to just have the idea. And then I shopped around for a producer. I found this great guy, Ben Wilkins, who really I felt understood my vision. And he helped me bring it to life and guided me through the process of recording. And I'm just really grateful for having that experience.
And they're great lyrics. You have such a great. Would you describe yourself as indie folk, or how would you describe your music?
Yeah, you know, it's every. I guess that's probably the category it would be in: singer-songwriter, indie folk, or something like that. There's some pop elements.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And was it Tiny Heart? I'm not gonna get it
Tiny
wrong.
Hands, Tiny Heart.
Tiny Heart. Yeah. I really like that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very sweet.
My friend Josh actually animated that video. So
that's what I was going to ask. I thought it was interesting how it was, if you use some of the animators that you knew from one of the shows or if it just was a friend.
Well, I was actually talking to my friend Tom Krajewski and I was kind of describing like my vision for the project and I wanted to do it animated. And he was like, well, what if you did like a pop-up book? And I was like, that sounds like a great idea, as if the book was, we were in the world. But then I started doing some research on paper artists. And I found some really great paper artists. And I found this one woman, Dawn Cordova, online. And she created 12 different vignettes for me. So they're like 10 by 12 paper and with the characters and the scenes. And then I had them photographed and scanned in, and Josh then animated the shapes to make it look as if they were moving. So I'd never done
really
anything.
cool.
I never produced a project like that. So it was, you know, probably not as efficient or speedy as one who's professional at that might do. But I really enjoyed, you know, kind of all the little challenges that came up along the way. It was a cool experience.
You definitely, between the stand-up and then producing your, you know, shows for YouTube, where do you get the drive or just the, you know, I'm going to go for it and try to do this, make this happen?
Fear.
Fear is a motivator for you.
I mean, it's like I've always like kind of wanted to do it all. And for better, for worse, you know, if you focus on one thing, you can kind of like really shoot through and put all your energy towards one focus. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And Malcolm Gladwell and the idea of the 10,000 hours and to make you an expert on something. Now, if you're splitting your time between writing and music and acting and voiceover, you're having smaller amounts. And why maybe you wouldn't want to do that. But I recently mentored a group of students at Emerson College, which is my alma mater. And there's there's kids that are just, that's how they are. You know, and you're, I think, very much like that too. You've got your podcast and your voiceover career and you're producing. And for those of us that are like that, what are we going to do? I mean, it brings us the greatest joy to be able to dip our toes in lots of different things. Yeah. And there's a book called How to Be Great at Everything, or How to Be Great at Everything, which is also a TED Talk or a TEDx talk. I forget the author's name, but she's fantastic. And there's actually something to be said that if you generalize in several areas, you're bringing more to the table that somebody else cannot, because they don't have that perspective that you've gained through your knowledge of producing. You know, so you may have a producer on this podcast that comes in for other details and is more, you know, specialized, or an engineer that's specialized in the equipment, so you don't have to do it. But heading up something and CEOs and Walt Disney and different people that are visionaries operate like that. So when I read that, I felt better about myself.
I'm just like,
it is
Walt.
what it is. We're all gonna die someday. So, you know.
So I think it's nice to have those outlets and express yourself. I don't know, just fulfill those different forms of expression that you have floating around in there.
Totally.
Yeah. How is it writing? You were writing for Barbie Dreamtopia. That was after had already been on the other side of the mic. So did you did you draw some from your experience from being on that side of mic to think if the character said this or
definitely. So the first show I ever wrote on was Poppycat, which is the one that I played Alma on, and I just kind of was always like, hey, can I pitch a show? And then I think it was the second season, I can't remember, second or third, I had pitched some ideas and they liked one of them and I got to write a show and it was just great training. But with Barbie, I had just had my son and also I just really love collaborating within the realm of writing. It's if I get stuck, I can bounce it back to a writing partner and then and they bounce it back to me. So I worked with my partner for that was Dana Middleton, and she's actually a young adult, middle grade author. So there's young adult, and then younger than that is middle grade, and so that was great because we both, she was writing her book and I was also doing voiceover, but we got to come together and we wrote 8 episodes of that. And I'm totally find myself when it comes to dialogue, you get the structure and that's kind of all down. But when it came to the dialogue, I would find myself talking to myself and acting out the different characters and, trying to take, as a writer, you don't want to indicate too much to the actor about how you need it said. That's one thing you have to let go of control of that. But yeah, I totally would be like, okay, and find what they were saying.
Are you wanting to do more writing in the future?
Yeah, I actually have a musical live action pilot that I'm writing with my friend Steph. And there's a short film idea I want to develop as well. So, in terms of what I want to get staffed, I'm really enjoying freelance because it gives me the flexibility to pursue acting and voiceover. But collaboration, I'm really curious to see where it goes. I'm actually going to a retreat for the WGA in 2 weeks. So that's exciting. Adlin and, Carol Leifer and there's just going to be some amazing people
great women there to collaborate with. Women. Yeah, that's awesome. Would you ever go back to revisiting your stand-up comedian days?
Oh my God, I wish if I had all the time in the world, yes, because I really liked it and I think it helps you find your voice as a performer. The late nights are tough. Because now I'm in the thing where I try to wake up. I was up at 5:30 this morning, and if you're out till 2:30, that is not doable.
Yeah,
so
rough.
If the afternoon coffee and stand-up circuit gets up and running, I would be there in a heartbeat. I'd have to write all new material though. I was like, well, now I'm single, and
was that your kind of? This was about dating,
I talked about dating and just things I found funny being a woman.
One other thing that I love about you is you also have a Casita Travel trailer, Lovely Rita. We have a picture of Lovely Rita.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So what was the desire to purchase this beauty?
Well, I love to travel and I love going on adventures. Even, live in the moment, yes, but having an adventure planned makes living in the moment so much more fun. But we have a 3-year-old and it was about trying to find a sustainable way to travel. Sustainable in terms of first and foremost, energy. Because it's if you go and you spend a week on the East Coast, you come back and you're exhausted and you need 3 more days to recover and you're jet lagged, so you're really tired. But this, Or maybe you overindulge and you eat at all these great restaurants and you come back and you're like, okay, now I really gotta hit the gym.
Yeah.
But camping, first of all, I love being outdoors, and nature grounds me and connects me, and I feel it's healthy for my son. And my husband loves it too. There he is. Yeah. So, and there's so many parks I want to see and adventures that I want to have. And the fact that we're not buying something, not that I don't love eating at a great restaurant or being in the city and shopping, but there's something really nice about taking a break from all that. And, we take photos, but we're on our phones a lot less. And it just forces us to be together as a family and be sharing the experience instead of each being in our own little world.
And how did you decide on the Casita Travel trailer versus, anything else?
Well, my husband is an extensive planner and researcher, so he did a lot of research. It's a fully fiberglass trailer, so it's 100%. There's a Scamp is also a fiberglass trailer, but the bottoms are not fiberglass. So these... I hear that they're very reliable. I hear that they are, the joke about getting a trailer is like it's just a matter of time till it leaks. And these are sort of known to be waterproof. And it has a bathroom. And it even has a shower, which we haven't really needed to use yet. It has a bed in the back, which also turns into a dinette, but we just keep it set up as a bed. And then it has a two-person dinette that might also turns into bed for my son. So yeah, it's very sustainable. Like we meal plan before we go, so like we're eating pretty healthy and we're getting exercise. And so when you come back, Sunday we'll just kind of hang out and then come back, and we try to make it just a couple hours, radius, like a 2 to 3 hours in the car, so we're not driving ourselves crazy. And then you come back and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm back in my life, and there's not lag time of like, oh, you don't get the Monday blues. And not a full recovery from your trip. Where would have been some of your favorite spots you've stopped at so far? Well, we've had it since October, I think. We're actually, this weekend, we're going back up to a place we went a couple weeks ago, which is Sierra Meadows. It's an event space outside of Yosemite Park, and our friends actually bought it. It was a golf course that is now... they've let the whole golf course go to seed, and now they've put in all these little mini cabins and tiny homes that are so cute. And they've brought in all this large-scale art, like stuff that's been to Burning Man and then doesn't have a home because nobody has acres and acres, and they have like 1,000 acres up there. So it's so fun to just explore, and they have a couple ponds on the property and a little stream running through it. And because it was a golf course, there's like a whole path and all these golf carts you can like ride around. So we'll be going there this weekend for Memorial Day. And we took a trip to Anza Borrego, which is California State Park in the northeast corner of San Diego. I'd never heard of it. It's a great place to go for the super bloom. So it's just so amazing. Like, okay, the research that I'm forced to do is the research I want to be doing.
Where will be, other than the trip this weekend, where's the next spot that you haven't been to that you're dying to go to?
Well, so after this trip, we're thinking of stopping in Sequoia on the way back. So that'll be exciting. We're all the giant, just the big sequoia trees. And I'm really excited to go to Death Valley, which looks amazing. I'm excited to go to Yosemite because we always go right by Yosemite. But
Have
I
you
would
ever
love
been?
to camp there. No.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. I want to see El Capitan, and my girlfriend wants to hike it for her birthday next year, so gotta get on that. And then, we had a couple trips planned for the summer. We're going to need to kind of shift some things around, but Pyramid Lake looks really fun. And then, of course, Carpinteria and the camping right on the ocean when the weather gets nice would be so fun.
Hopefully sometime soon here in California. So we never go over this rain, right?
I know. It's going to rain this weekend, too.
I know. And it's looking like it's rolling in right now, too.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow, I think. Crazy.
I tell ya.
Right.
Well, let's talk. One thing we had in common, too, we talked a little bit before the show, was podcasting.
Oh.
So talk about, you used to do a podcast for animation.
Yeah. Guys, it was not as cool as this. Look at this.
AfterBuzz.
Yeah, AfterBuzz. Whoa, way to up level the game. I mean, this is back in 2007, 2008, so podcasting was much newer, and there wasn't as many of them. I think it was, it was even before Rob Paulson's podcast, believe it or not. I wasn't as consistent as you, but I really did enjoy sitting down with some great people that worked in animation. Debbie Derryberry, Keith Ferguson, who are both voice actors. I interviewed Mitch Watson, who is a writer-producer. Craig Bartlett, who created the show Dinosaur Train. And at the time, he was working on Dinosaur Train. And we went into his studios, which is on the Jim Henson lot, and explored it. But sadly, I'm not doing it anymore.
I think it might be time to bring it back.
Yeah? Do you think they let me use the studio?
I don't know. You guys hear that, AfterBuzz?
Hey, AfterBuzz.
Yeah, I just think, I'm fascinated by the whole animation world. I think there's so many people out there that would love to hear stories and from the people you interact with.
But you are doing such a great job. I know, having done it, how much work it is. And so to be consistently putting out material every week, JJ, that's amazing.
Sweet.
I'm serious. I'm very impressed. They've branded cups.
I paid her a little bit before the show. All right, before we have to wrap up for the night, what would be, advice, people who would want to ask you, I want a career in animation or voiceover, what are some things that you would tell people?
Gosh, I feel like, voice actors always say the same things. So I'm trying to think of something that would be different. You should be an actor, know how to act. It's not necessarily about having a good voice. It's sort of about what you can do with it. But I'm going to try and take it in a different direction. I would say, you mentioned something earlier about being a self-starter. And one thing about voiceover is you're an independent contractor for everything. So you kind of the CEO of your own company. So you have your investment into classes and your investment into workshops and books or whatever knowledge that you're trying to infuse. And then you have, maybe singing lessons or any kind of professional development. So you kind of got to think of it like that. Balance the ground between art and skill and running a business.
What are some of the tools you do? Because I know you have agents and managers and all of that, but what are things you do on your own? Right? Do you do your own sort of marketing or networking or ways to grow since you are the CEO of your business?
Yeah, I do. I think, especially in this business where we don't have control at the end of the day, whether we're selected or not, it makes me feel a little bit of more sense of control if I know, okay, I'm going to send a mailing out 3 times a year to the casting directors and maybe producers I've worked with or something. So I do some of that. And after I had my son, being able to add that piece was really challenging. But I think it's just being able to remind people that you're there and that you're good and that you work, and being a little bit consistent with that. So I do my own marketing and all that's out of pocket. And I try to, if I can, take workshops and stuff, which I've been doing less of, but.
Your mailer, is that a postcard or is that updated demos? What's your mailer look like?
Well, sometimes it's a postcard, but the thing I'm doing right now is a 1-sheet. So it's I do an email newsletter, but I find not everybody reads those. Like 33% of people read them. So right now I'm trying to alternate e-newsletter and then paper newsletter, which seems pretty archaic in a way, but how many people are actually sending stuff in the mail? On-camera actors and casting directors get a lot of that stuff. They get a lot of postcards and 1-sheets and stuff. But I don't know how many voiceover casting directors get that kind of stuff. So hopefully, the idea, the rule of 7s, and if they see you 7 times, they're like, okay.
Yeah, I remember.
It's nice, pleasant newsletter. They're like, oh, Alicyn Packard. Okay. Oh, yeah. There. Yeah. Oh, now he's auditioned. Let me click on it because you never even know if they're actually listening to your audition, they might.
No, and when I think about it, on my other side of the job, I never get CBS. I never get anything in the mail, usually from people. I will get emails.
Thank you cards, maybe?
Few and far between, though. So it's like... I do get one updated e-newsletter that I do read, but it is easier sometimes just to click right through all that stuff and delete it. But if I had something actually in my inbox, and actually at work you don't get that much in your inbox as much as you do at home either, our mailbox there. Yeah. So if I did get something, I'd be like, oh, I got something in the mail, so you might be more inclined to look at it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea.
But then, putting yourself out there also feels a little exposing, and, it's just definitely easier to not send anything and just be like, I hope people like me. But then to put yourself out there, it's like you're risking being judged, you're risking immediately going in the trash. So it takes courage, but... That's what this business
Speaking
needs.
of TED Talks, did you see that Brene Brown? She has a whole one on vulnerability.
The new show, or
it's an older one
okay, I think I've seen
on
it.
vulnerability, but it's exactly what you just said. It's like it's that fear, of being vulnerable and putting yourself out there when you could just sit back and but you're taking the risk and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it will. All right, before we go, any last minute thoughts or tell everybody where they can, hear your voice, what characters you have going on now, or any campaigns?
On the Boomerang app, you can hear, which is Warner Brothers. I'm on the new Tom and Jerry show. I play Toodles, Tom's love interest, his girlfriend. Sometimes they're married. Sometimes she's back to girlfriend. Sometimes they have kids. So that's a lot of fun. You can check that out. And I am the promo voice for the Ovation Network and commercials. My agent says it's always good to just keep him guessing with that. But, it's great to connect online too. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Alicyn. It's Alicyn, like Alice, but with a Y-N.
Yeah. We'll put all that stuff on the site where you guys can track her down after too and follow everything.
Stalk me.
Yes, do it. Well, you are fabulous. I just love you, and I thank you so much for coming in. And I love hearing all your stuff, and I just hope you have more and more and more and more and more.
Thanks, lady. I appreciate it.
Of course. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. We will actually see you again. It's a rare week. We will see you again tomorrow night at a different time. It'll be at 7 o'clock, but we will see you tomorrow.
Do you know this is
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.